You've heard the ads. Hims is basically the Netflix of erection medication. We know pills work when it's a physical issue, but if your problem is psychological, is this actually going to be a cure, or is it really just an expensive Band-Aid? To find out, I went on their site and pretended to be one of my clients, and the results were interesting. Hey guys, Brian Mahoney here. I help successful guys resolve ED so you can relax, get hard, and really enjoy sex again. Today we're looking at Hims. I wanted to see if their platform actually accounts for the psychological side of things, or if they're just selling pills. Quick disclaimer, I'm not a doctor. This is education only. Always talk to a doctor before considering stopping or starting any kind of medication. So I pretended to be one of my typical clients. Physically healthy, no heart issues, no diabetes, just a guy whose anxiety is getting in the way of his natural sex response. First, I went to their website and tried their standard better sex path. I answered about 50 questions, making it as clear as I could that I'm a guy who is 100% physically capable and healthy, but 100% mentally blocked. And here's where it got kind of weird. At the end, it suggested a combination of medications, tadalafil and atorvastatin. Now, tadalafil is just generic Cialis. That makes sense. But atorvastatin, that's a cholesterol drug. It's for preventing heart disease. Why are they telling me to take a cholesterol drug when I told them I was totally healthy? Maybe the logic is that it helps blood vessel health long-term. There is research on combining tadalafil with statins for guys who actually have cholesterol problems as well as ED. It can help both heart and erection health in those cases. But that's a very specific medical situation, not a one-size-fits-all solution for anxious guys who are having trouble with erections. Honestly, prescribing heart medication to a healthy guy, in Hims' defense, when I went through and tried it again, the second time it didn't prescribe the atorvastatin. But I'm pretty sure I answered the questions the same way. I certainly held the perspective of being a 100% physically healthy guy who's anxious. So maybe it was just a glitch in their system? I'm not clear. Since that wasn't very satisfying, I thought, okay, let's try their mental health path. Maybe they have something there that will help a guy with psychological ED. I went through another 50 questions, again, answering exactly how a typical physically healthy guy with performance anxiety ED would answer them. The result? They didn't give me a final answer right away, but they said my provider may recommend an SSRI, specifically Zoloft, Lexapro, or Celexa. Guys, these are antidepressants. And while they can lower anxiety, a lot of research shows SSRIs can cause sexual side effects, things like low libido, trouble getting or keeping an erection, or delayed orgasm, in roughly a third to over half of the people who take them. So the fix for the fact that you're anxious about sex is a pill that might kill your libido or make it hard for you to have sex, that seems counterproductive. If a doctor suggests an SSRI as the main fix for performance anxiety ED, I'd at least ask some very pointed questions before signing on. And again, we don't know what that doctor would have said if I had followed up with an actual conversation, but the way the email sounded, things were headed in that direction. So does this mean that meds are useless for psychological ED? Actually, no. I want to be fair here because I dug into the research and the data is pretty interesting. First, psychological and mixed cause ED are really common in younger guys. In some studies, a big chunk of men under 40 with ED don't have any kind of serious medical problem. It's anxiety, stress, or other psychological stuff that's driving the difficulty. One study looked specifically at younger guys where psychological ED is increasing and found that medications like Cialis and Viagra are a promising treatment choice even when the issues are mostly psychological. Basically, having that physical safety net can help boost confidence. Then you look at the therapy side. A 6-week study of guys doing web-based CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, showed roughly 40 to 60% improvement in erectile performance. In other words, a lot of guys saw real measurable improvement just from changing their thoughts, beliefs, and habits. That's good, but I get it. Therapy takes time, and it isn't what Hims does. Pills are fast. Here's where things get really interesting, though. A meta-analysis looking at multiple studies covering hundreds of guys found that combining psychological interventions with the Viagra-type medications was significantly better than using Viagra-type medications alone or therapy alone. In most of those studies, the combination group had better erection scores and higher satisfaction than either the meds-only group or the therapy-only group. So if you remember one thing from this video, I hope it's this. Meds plus psychological work usually beats meds alone for psychological ED. And the reason the combination wins isn't just about blood flow. The medication acts like training wheels. For most guys, it gives them a few wins to prove to their brains that the equipment still works, while the therapy teaches them how to ride the bike without the training wheels. Hims gives you the training wheels, but they don't offer anything to teach you how to balance the bike. Great. So these meds can definitely help some guys with psychological ED. But now let's talk about Hims prices. You're definitely paying a convenience tax for skipping the in-person doctor visit. With their subscription, you're often paying between $4 and $10 per pill for generic Viagra. Compare that to your local pharmacy. If you get a regular prescription and pick it up at CVS or Walgreens, the cost for generic Viagra is often a fraction of that. In many cases, you can get the exact same medication at a regular pharmacy counter for under $1 a pill. So if you're using Hims, just realize you aren't paying for a special Hims formula. You're paying for the luxury of not having to see a live doctor or walk into a drugstore. If you have sex once or twice a month, you might be paying around $50 a month for pills that could cost you under $5 at the local pharmacy. So here's my take on Hims so far. Other than pricing, Hims seems great. It's fast, it's easy, and using the meds as a helper can work. But here's the thing. They'll sell you a pill to help you get hard. They might even sell you a pill to numb some of your anxiety, but they don't offer anything that solves the underlying problem. Think of psychological ED as being like a stream. At the top of the stream, you've got your thoughts and emotions. Those flow downstream to kick on the fight or flight response. Once that happens, your body is shunting blood away from your penis out to your arms and legs so you can fight or run. Again, the fight or flight response. At the bottom of the stream, that's where you lose the erection. ED meds work way downstream. They're working at the bottom of the stream. They push blood back into the penis, which can send a confidence signal back upstream. And for some guys, that's enough to get a confidence boost so that they can shut off the fight or flight system, as long as they stay on the meds. For other guys, either it's not enough or the effect doesn't last. With antidepressants, maybe the idea is to work right back up there at the source of the stream by turning down the intensity of the signal to the fight or flight system. But because SSRIs can lower libido and interfere with arousal and orgasm in a significant percentage of guys, they can actually work to make the sexual part of the situation a lot worse. So if that's the main proposed solution for psychological ED, again, I'd be cautious and ask a lot of questions. The work I do, and the work a lot of skilled sex therapists do, is about resolving things all the way back at the source of the stream. Once the guys are thinking and feeling differently, better, their nervous system isn't going into that fight or flight mode anymore. When the nervous system isn't going into fight or flight anymore, further downstream, the guy feels safe, the body sends blood to the penis where it belongs, and down there at the bottom of the stream, he's getting good erections and having good sex again. Bottom line, if you want to try Hims and don't mind paying extra for ED pills, go for it. Used wisely, those meds can absolutely be part of the solution for psychological ED. But if you do use them, I'd really suggest doing the psychological work as well. I'm biased, but the research backs this up. Work at the source of the stream and you're much more likely to get a long-term solution that doesn't leave you dependent on meds. If this sounds like you and you want a long-term fix, click the link in the description down below to set up a consultation with me. We'll talk about what's really happening at the source of the stream for you and whether working together makes sense. Or if you're not ready to talk yet, no problem. You might want to check out one of these hypnosis videos I've linked. They can be powerful tools to help you work deeply at the source of the stream. Thanks for watching.